לקצות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו.
Shabbat Shalom, friends.
Shabbat Shalom.
Come on in and have a seat.
Shabbos.
Sherry, usher those people in. It's our first Shabbat of Elul. Elul, the month before we begin the Chagim, the month before Rosh Hashanah, has a little acronym. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. I'm your beloved, and my beloved is mine. That's not a song cue, though, Bill. And it also is a time for us to reflect. One of the traditions is to join in Psalm 27, which Cantor Flaxman just shared with us. And it's a way that we say, I'm beseeching you, O God. I'm here this month before the new year. Hear me. Things are tough, but listen to me. And it ends with, Kaveh el Adonai, hope in Adonai. Chazek v'ya'ametz, be strong and of good courage. Kaveh el Adonai, hope in Adonai. And every day we say that psalm, we get to think about that. On Shabbat, we elevate those feelings evermore. Here we are, hoping in Adonai and enjoying the company and worship being together, celebrating a bat mitzvah tomorrow of Ava and the joy for her family and for her friends. So our hope tonight is present as well as our joy. So let's continue together in our Siddur, in our prayer book, page 24, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Asharet, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamalakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Asharet, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamalakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malakei Asharet, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boakem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boakem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boakem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon, Mimelech Malkei Hamlakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei
We continue welcoming Shabbat as we invite up Ava and her parents, Stephen and Katie, and her sister Jolie for the lighting of the Shabbat candles and blessing over Kiddush. Page 2 for candles, page 5 for Kiddush. Push that down at the same time. Yeah. It's a little torch.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kocho be'ahava uvratzon hin hilanu zikaron lemase v'reishit Ki hu yom tehila lemikra e kodesh zeher letziat mitzrayim kivanu vaharta ve'otanu kidasha mikol chamim Veshabbat kochecha be'ava uratzon hin haltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
L'chaim.
Yeah, it's awesome. You can all share.
It's a fine vintage of Welch.
Mazel tov, Katie. And Stephen and Jolie, we're going to hear a little bit more from Ava in a little bit. We continue welcoming Shabbat with Lachado D. Lachado D is found on pages 20 and 21, and we'll join in verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Krakala, Pene Shabbat,
rise and face the door to greet the Sabbath bride.
אוהבים שלום עטרת מהלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוקם ונעם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing and turn to page 28 and join in the Baruch Hu.
Ahavat Olam on the following page. Ahavat Olam is about the love of God in our world within us. Page 32. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. אהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד.
may be seated. Ava leads us in the chanting of Valhafta, page 36. Here, my love, so excited for you.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווה היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושופך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
And Ava, you know, those little periods at the end mean you can take a breath. Just in case. We're always looking for freedom in our world. Where there is none, we seek to find it, to uplift it, to make it one of our goals. As we sang at the shores of the sea, when we left Egypt, those kinds of moments, those highlights of coming together and realizing God's power are not lost to us, and we join with it right now. Page 122, Mi Chamocha. Page 40.
Adonai Yaakov ugalo mi'archazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. We turn to page 43 for an English rendering before we join in singing Hashkivenu. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We praise you, Adonai, who spread your shelter of peace over us, over all Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamitenu shomreinu. down at night when I rest my head. Oh God, watch over me. And when the morning comes, we thank the Holy One and pray for peace. One day, one day, one day. Let me hear you.
One day, one day, one day.
One day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamitenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamitenu shomreinu lechayim. Uveros alenu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom, alenu ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
We turn to page 46 for the tefillah. We'll be chanting the first 3 sections through page 52 together, and then you can take the next few pages for your own silent prayers and meditations, or pray along with our Siddur. If you are comfortable to do so, please rise, page 46.
Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, Ufi agid Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מקיים מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מקלקל חיים בחסד, מקיים מתים ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומקיים, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקיים המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וכראשים בכל יום יעללו כסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue silently.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
You may remember not too long ago, there was the dramatic rescue of the 4 hostages from Gaza in a very daring raid by the IDF. You probably remember some of their names: Noah Argamani, Shlomi Ziv, Andrei Kozlov, and Almag Meir Jan. There was a powerful scene that was recorded and played over and over of one of the 4, Almag, when he reunited with a large group of his friends. He came around a wall into a corridor where a whole bunch of them were waiting for him, and they surrounded him. And when they saw that he smiled, they jumped up and hugged him and began dancing around him. And they were chanting a line in Hebrew over and over that has stuck with me. They were saying, Hu mishalanu, velo niten oto. He's one of us, and we're not letting him go. The state of Israel has an implicit deal with each one of its citizens. Every Israeli knows it. The deal is that the state will always protect you. And the other part of the deal is, if you're ever left behind, we'll come and find you. To our great sorrow, the news of last weekend wasn't anywhere near the euphoria that we felt when the 4 were released. In fact, it was the exact opposite. And we were all devastated by the news of the assassination of 6 hostages in cold blood, including Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who had become one of the faces and most recognizable stories of this war. In our prayer vigil here on Wednesday night, we felt that it was important to read some of the biographical information of all 6 of these hostages who were murdered last week by Hamas. We needed to say their names. If you've been to Israel since the war started and you walk down in the airport, you see that there's a sign and a picture, and people have been writing notes on each one of them. And I've been there enough times now to almost know where Hirsch's placard was, and where Noah's placard was, and where the ones have been removed because they've been found dead, or they've been rescued, or they've been released. And it started with some 250 names, and it's down to 101 placards. But Israelis know the names. They especially know Hirsch. And if you're walking around Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, at least from a couple of weeks ago, you could see graffiti everywhere that says, "Bring Hirsch home." Thinking about their family and friends that they've left behind, thinking about the dreams that have been cut off and the tragedies that of their lives have been cut short has become for every Jew and also every person who has a recognition of what is moral clarity. These are becomes names and people that it's like we know them. And it turns out that in this week's Torah portion, the week just after this terrible tragedy of the 6 hostages, there's a very interesting mitzvah that probably you've never heard of, but has everything to do with what happened. The mitzvah, it appears cryptic, but what it really does is emphasize the importance of every person's story. The mitzvah is called Egla Arufa. What's Egla Arufa? An Egla is a calf. And an Arufa means that its neck has been broken. It's a calf whose neck they have to break. But why? So what happens is, if they find in between 2 different cities, in the distance where one would travel to get from one city to another that's uninhabited, you find a corpse. You find a dead body. But you don't know who killed this person. And there's no witnesses. And there's no clear evidence to say who did it. Well, then there's a mitzvah in such a case. And the mitzvah is that the leaders of the Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin, imagine this, the leaders of the greatest, highest court of the land had to come out to the scene and measure with their own hands what city is closest. Then they would go to that city and say, "You're the closest. And because you're the closest to where this unsolved case happens, here's what you have to do. Your judges from your city have to bring a calf, and they're going to have to sacrifice it by breaking its neck. And your judges will proclaim there when they do that our hands didn't shed this blood, nor did we see with our own eyes who did it." Again, it's a bizarre and cryptic mitzvah. What's the point? Why bother? The point is that someone has to take responsibility for allowing this person to leave their city without safe protection. And so whatever city's closest, from whatever city this person left, didn't do enough to make sure that this person would be safe as they went out on their way to wherever they were going. Did you know that it's a Jewish value not only to welcome the stranger, like Abraham did so beautifully into his tent in the book of Genesis, but it's similarly a Jewish value to make sure that whenever someone is traveling from one place to another, they'll be safe on their journey. So what do you have to do? Your friends come to visit you from New York. Do you have to fly them home? And if you do they then have to fly you back? And then do you have to fly them back? And so that's like a Chelm story. So the Talmud explains, well, what does it mean? What do you have to do? You have to walk someone, what the Talmud calls dalid amot, when they leave you. You only have to walk them 4 paces out of your home into the public domain. So what good is that? You come to my house, I walk you 4 paces, set you off on 67th and say, don't get hit by the bikers. Why you're allowed to bike on 67th is a whole nother sermon. Yeah. You may not agree with the sermon, but that point, we can agree. What's the point of just walking 4 paces? What good is that? It's meant to show, for anyone out there, I know this guy. This guy's with me. This guy's one of ours. If you mess with this guy, you mess with me. But not only that, if you mess with this guy, you mess with our whole city. And then people will know that this guy who I just walked 4 paces with, who the next guy walked 4 paces, and the next guy walked 4 paces, that if something happens to him, the people of this town will be looking out for him. We care about his welfare. He has the support of everyone that lives here, and if anything happens to him, you'll have to answer to us. And so, the leading judges of this town have to go out in such a case and say, we let this guy down. We don't know what happened to him, but he came from our town, and we must not have walked with him 4 paces because someone said, I can kill this person, and I don't have to answer to anybody. Now, what's so amazing about this section in the Torah is if you read everything that comes right before it in the Torah and everything that comes right after it, it's all about war. War before and war and after. And in between 2 sections dealing with the laws of war, we have this story, what to do with a corpse that you find. And we have to ask ourselves, what's the big deal? Is it unusual to find a corpse in a field during war? Isn't that what always happens? Isn't that what war is? Don't people die in war? We're going to take a calf and break its neck every time there's a war and someone dies? Seems like a lot. But from this case we learn that every one of them, every person, every soldier, every civilian who dies during war, yes, for every single one of them we say, this person's one of ours, and we let them down. From this case we can learn how Israelis and also we have been feeling since October 7th. Every body that lays lifeless or that lay lifeless on the kibbutzes, at the Nova Festival, the hostages, those who were killed and had their corpses dragged into the hell of the Gaza Strip, each one of them is known to us. Each one of them is one of us. But sadly, we have this feeling, like the priests who had to come out and offer the Egla Arufa, that we were not there to protect them. The Israeli government has this feeling. The Israeli populace has this feeling. So does the intelligence apparatus, and so does the army. It feels like we didn't let the world know that these are our people, and we won't let anyone take them. So for the past year, we've been performing the service of the Egla Arufa. We've been declaring in public that we weren't there to see who exactly killed our brothers and sisters. But we're here to say also, like the priests who offered the Egla Arufa, that we'll never stop looking for who did. We will forever offer our apologies to the victims. We'll keep them in our prayers. And we'll recommit to walking 4 paces with each other so that this never happens again. And while we do it, we will shout with all our vigor to those still cruelly and viciously held in Gaza by the monsters of Hamas, Hem mishelanu, velo niten otam. They are ours. We demand you return them now, and we will not stop pursuing you until you do. Ken Yeh Ratzon. May this be God's will. Amen.
Your sighs are audible even up here. Because we also, as a community, keep close to us those of our friends and families and others who need our prayers for healing, for they too are a part of us. And we spiritually walk those paces with them as we visit them, as we call their names tonight, as we may see them at home or in the hospital. They are a part of us. Certainly, those who are injured in Israel, their families and their friends who are praying for their healing, they are a part of us. And all of the people that you are thinking of tonight, they are a part of us as well. So if you would like to share your loved one's name for a person who needs healing, a person who needs more fortitude, strength, a healing of the body, a renewal of the spirit, you may share their names now. Raise your hand high. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else there? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lois? Thank you. Oh, thank you. Nancy? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bill? Thank you. Somebody had their hand up? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Deb? Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. Blessed are you, Adonai. May you heal the sick. Amen. If you're comfortable, please rise and turn to page 282 for the Elenu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת קרולה על יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We now take the moments to think of our loved ones, those whom death has recently taken from us, and those who died during the last month, year, or in seasons past. We bring them into our hearts with our own. We remember what they brought to our lives, and we know that their lives remain a blessing. It is our custom here at Temple Beth Am that if you hear your loved one's name called, you rise and you stay standing through the mourner's Kaddish. On this Erev Shabbat, we send condolences to the family of Elizabeth Beth Yonker. We are saying Kaddish tonight for Sandra Gastfriend, Fran Storper, Frank Moses, Alan Kersner, Vicki Melnick. We are remembering Nancy Goldman Deutsch in the tradition of mourning for the first month. We are thinking of those who have passed during the last year: William S. Eichenbaum, Ella Riley Adler, Michael Arnold, Patricia Barrett, Peter Bass, Jerry Benjis, Sol Victoria Marden Banhamu, Constance Miller Bennett, Robert Bob Blumenthal, Barbara Bronfman, June Elizabeth Brown, Bernard Eckstein, Herbert Fink, Tina Forster, Lawrence Larry Stewart Foreman, David Frankel, Alan Friedlander, Mitchell Mitch Friedman, Glenn Goldberg, Dr. Warren Janowitz, Dr. Ira Carmen, Susan Sue Clow, Howard Kleinberg, Janice Levine, Ellen Ellie Levine, Joyce Hessel Mackler Fisher, Reba Eskowitz Maggots, Asuka Mashav, Elisa Poyastro, Lenore Raven, Karen Michelle Solomon, Dr. David Saracen, Anna Sheldon, Max Spiegelman, Ilya Stolyar, Berta Topel, Irene Trupkin, Dr. Florence Oren Wexberg, Joan Wolfe, Burton Young, Enrique J. Zadoff. We are remembering those who have passed at this season in years gone by: Albert Beckerman, Claire Chakey Finkel, Arlene Halbrick, Nathan Holtzman, Myrna Klein, Samuel Klein, Merrill Ira Lamb, Frank K. Levin, Lawrence Larry Parker, Sam Pulver, Max Pulver, Miriam Pulver, Guillermo Schenkerman, Dr. Mark Snyder, Stephen Sotloff, William Spicer, Phyllis Zagorski. If there are others we are remembering this evening, please raise your hand and stand and share their names. Yes, Marty. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. We join as one community. Does somebody else have their hand up, which I did not see? Thank you. We are remembering, of course, Eden Yerushalmi, Ori Danino, Alex Lobanov, Carmel Gott, Almog Sarusi, Hirsch, Goldberg, Poland. May the memories of all of our loved ones be a blessing. We turn to page 294 and we join in the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon uv'yomei chon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kori v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to rain down, and we pray to have peace rain down from the high heavens, send peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. And may God comfort all who are bereaved among us. Together we say, Amen. You may be seated. Bringing us Shabbat greetings, and we've missed him. We invite the president of our congregation, Rich Siegel.
Shabbat Shalom. First, I'd like to thank Rabbi Barris and Rabbi Klepi for a wonderful service. Cantor Flaxman, your voice is just beautiful. And of course, our musicians. Is Liera here? Oh, she got a shout out. She got a shout out in the, okay, she got credit for, don't pay her. She's in the program. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you, Billy. I've been out a while. The last few Shabbats I gave remarks at were what I call Mazel Tovless Shabbats, because there was no B'nai Mitzvahs. So it is nice to be back on the Bima with a B'nai Mitzvah. I want to say Mazel Tov to the Nolman family on Ava's Bat Mitzvah tomorrow. You did amazing today. I'm sure it'll continue through to tomorrow. And as those of you who are somewhat regular here know, I like to kind of stalk the B'nai Mitzvah family a little bit to try to bring some relevance to my remarks. And how else would I know that Ava is a future CNN anchor person when she's not volunteering with families with babies in the NICU? So I do my research. And people say it's so nice that you get to know the B'nai Mitzvah family a little bit. It's a nice thing to do. I do it purely for selfish reasons, because we have such a diverse community here. I actually keep a dossier of all of what the parents of the B'nai Mitzvah kids do. And I keep a database because we have financial planners and we have people that own private jet companies. And if I ever need something from one of these people, I can just say, hey, you may remember I was president of Temple Beth Am when your son or daughter was bar bat mitzvah. Now, of course I remember you. What can I do for you? So this is actually the first Shabbat where I've done this, that Ava's dad specializes in complex matrimonial dissolutions. So I'm happy to say I'm not including you in my dossier, as evidenced by the fact that Jackie and I this week celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary. So thank you. It was more her doing than mine. In terms of things upcoming, tomorrow we have a Torah study with Rabbi Barris, minyan led by Rabbi Klepi. For those seeking a slightly less humor-filled Jewish experience, there is a conservative minyan tomorrow morning. That's a joke. There's going to be a cantorial soloist named Sam Rosner. The last time he was in town, I went to the service. He has a beautiful voice, a beautiful tenor voice, and the only thing that could make it better would be a beautiful baritone voice to join him, and that is what Cantor Flaxman is going to bring to the conservative minyan tomorrow. So it should be a wonderful service. And this Thursday at the Hub in association with the Miami Book Fair is presenting an evening with Etgar Keret, who's a leading Israeli writer and filmmaker. Anyone who's read anything by him or has watched any of his interviews, he's a fascinating guy. I encourage you all to come out. So I know you all are saying, the regulars, Rich, where the heck have you been? So after spending the last 22 Augusts, either entirely or primarily in Miami, we decided this year we were going to find out what it's like to not spend August in Miami. And we went to Park City for the month of August, which was amazing. We had our kids come out. And I had two what I call Betham moments in Park City. One incredibly comforting, one a little bit discomforting that I just wanted to share with you. The first is if you ever get to Park City, there's a wonderful temple there called Temple Har Shalom in Park City. Beautiful, beautiful temple, both the physically and spiritually. And in the summers, they do the Friday night services outdoors in this just the most majestic of settings you could imagine. And so we went there one Friday night when we were in Park City, and I'm sitting there on folding chairs, and I look around in the middle of Park City, Utah, in the middle of the summer, and there is 8 Temple Betham members at services there. So that was an incredibly proud and comfortable moment for me. In terms of slightly less comfortable moments, we were out to dinner one night in Park City. It was Jackie and me. Both of our daughters were in town visiting. One of my daughters brought her boyfriend with her, and Jackie's 90-year-old mom was with us. So we went out to dinner at a really nice restaurant. We're having dinner, and I can see Jackie's kind of getting uncomfortable. She's across and sitting next to her mom. And now in retrospect, I know what she was thinking was, I hope Rich doesn't hear what this guy behind me is saying. And it culminated, at least for us, with this guy saying in a very loud voice that I heard that Israel has no right to exist as a state. So the first thing that occurred to me was, I shouldn't have ordered the pork chop. I knew God was punishing me. This place has the most amazing Neiman Ranch, double-wide, thick-cut pork chop. I knew I shouldn't have ordered it, and now I was being punished because before the pork chop came, I was confronted by this anti-Semite. So in a tone that matched his, I said, "Keep your mouth shut." He said, "I can say anything I want to say." I said, "I can say anything I want to say as well." And I started chanting Am Yisrael Chai in the middle of this restaurant in Park City, Utah. So at that point, the adults at our table, which was everybody other than me, decided it was time to leave. The manager came over, he apologized. I know that the restaurant's actually owned by a Jewish guy who wasn't there. He said, "Can I pack your food to go?" I said, "Of course not. Our rental condo is kosher. I can't bring the pork chop home. But we will come back during the sitting in the non-anti-Semitic section of the restaurant." But I'll tell you, it really I've thought about that moment many times in the last couple weeks, because I watch on the news, I see all the protests against Israel and all the anti-Semitism among us. I actually got caught in a Palestinian protest working my way back to my hotel in New York last year. But it's just different when you are sitting someplace where you feel so incredibly comfortable and included, and then to hear the vile anti-Semitism that was spewing from the next table. And it was this guy, and there was 2 women with him, both of whom apologized to us as we were leaving. So, which gave me a little bit of faith in humanity that for a moment didn't exist. But I think it serves as a reminder that now more than ever, we need to commit ourselves to our beliefs, to our people, and to the land of Israel. And to quote a Meshugana at a Park City restaurant 2 Thursday nights ago, Am Yisrael Chai. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rich. After services, ask my husband Alex, Rich, his answer. I won't say it because it's Shabbat. But, that never happens to Rabbi Barris and I at restaurants. We never get punished for the pork chop, do we, Rabbi? No, never happens. We are closing our service tonight, and we thank Billy Whitman and, of course, Cantor Flaxman, who's now all used to our bima and our humor. Again, with from Psalm 27, Achat Sha'alti, just this one thing I ask, page 358.
Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Shivti bevet Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lakazot benoam Adonai ulevaker behekalo. Lakazot benoam Adonai ulevaker behekalo.
Wishing everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Turn to your neighbor and greet them with Shabbat Shalom as well.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sort of a misnomer. One thing, only the Jewish, one thing only, I guess. I was going to make that joke, but I didn't.
Mika mocha b'avlim randonai.
No.
These things happen.
No.
We have these things.
No, I'm saying it's funny how we say the Jews only ask for one thing.
Oh,
That was the
that's.
joke.
I'm like.
I had to help
I thought you were like,
myself
oh, I
back.
said a thing backwards.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom, man. Right to you. I started two months ago.